Hi, before I start this video and get into it, I need to know something. For anyone that reads, and I've been obsessed with Sarah J. Maas, I need to know when you read this book, because if you like Sarah J. Maas, you will be reading this. When you read it, I need you to let me know if it is like very important that I read Throne of Glass before I read this. Because if I'm not gonna get the same effect as when I read the second book because I read ACOTAR first, then I don't want to read this yet. Like, I want to read Throne of Glass first before I read this, so then I can get that effect that the second book had because I read ACOTAR. So when you read this, guys, please let me know if it is important. So I want to talk about books. I started my reading journey 2 years ago, 2022, after I quit playing university volleyball. I figured I'm gonna need another hobby. And now I'm here making a YouTube video about reading books. So obviously that went somewhere. I'm going to talk about the books that I have read, and then we're going to get to my physical TBR and the books that I'm going to read. So the first book that I read was called, I wrote it in my little journal, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. That's what started my addiction. Fueled it, if you will. After that, I read this one, Before the Coffee Gets Cold. And then it was right around the time that Bridgerton season 2 came out, and I was super hyped for season 3. I read Penelope and Colin's story. But then I stopped there because I realized I liked kind of a little spicier, smuttier books, because Bridgerton had that. And then that got me into a deep TikTok dive. And I read this one, Twisted Games. This was the start of it all for me. This one got me into some smuttier books. Spicy for sure. After that, I was seeing this little book trend on TikTok, because now I'm on Book Talk. I was seeing a trend on TikTok. I was like, well, like, maybe it'll be good, maybe it won't. Here I am. This was the little book that was trending on TikTok that I was like, meh, doesn't look great, like, I think I'll like it. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. No idea. I'm glad it happened though. So I bought this book almost a year ago. I think I binged it. Like, I remember people telling me this one wasn't the best, but the second one was better. So obviously people telling me it wasn't great, it took me a while to get into. So like reading it at the airport going to New Brunswick was kind of hard. Like, I didn't get very far. And then it got to like the middle of the book and I was like, this isn't too bad. But this is a spoiler, by the way. I spoiled myself and knew that Tamlin wasn't the good guy. So this entire book, I had that in mind. So like, I mean, it kind of wrecked that for me a little bit, that I knew Tamlin was the bad guy. And then this book came along and oh my god, I read this in like 4 days. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I gave it 5 stars and a spice of like 4.5 because it was beautiful. Ugh. I really liked this one. I also gave this one a 5 star. Okay, yeah, I knew I liked this one a lot. Like, almost to the point where I liked Wings and Ruin more than Mist and Fury. Might be a hot take, but I don't know. I read these like back to back. Like, there was not a single book like in between these books either. But I know I read this one in 2 days because I was staying at my boyfriend's house for the weekend and I read it at his house on the weekend and then started this one. This one, I hate to say it, was not a big win for me. It took me a month. It took me a month to read this. It was okay, but I wasn't a big fan of Nesta. I couldn't get over how poorly she treated Farah, so like it was hard to like really like her, but I really liked Cassian, so that kind of kept me into it. And then the more I read, the more I like kind of learned Nesta's character, and I loved her. This series has got me addicted to fantasy so hard, and my love for Sarah J. Maas blossomed. So the next book that I read was this one. I loved this. This was great. It has a deceiving cover, but it was beautiful. I loved it. And then I listened to the audiobook of this one. Don't listen to this book in public on audiobook because it's really weird. So I stopped that immediately and then would just listen to the audiobook when I worked out or went for a walk or something. Then I read Twisted Hate. I did only give this like 2.5. I didn't like the kind of smut in this book. Okay, so then I read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So before the movie came out, because I wanted to read the book for the movie, I gave it to my mom because my mom is also going to read it. I DNF'd my first book, Shatter Me. I just didn't like the writing style. Okay, because I read this one like a while ago. Yeah, okay, I knew I was forgetting that. Anyway, it was good, but it was not good enough for me to want to read the second one. So, like, that's why there was a huge gap between me reading the first one and the second one, because I read this one, and then I read these two books. And then that's when this started trending. So then I was like, I have to go read this. Like, I don't really want to go read the second one. So then I read this. And then, like, a couple days after I finished this one came out. I hate to say it. This one kind of wrecked it for me. The ending, I, like, don't even want to read the third one, which is kind of sad. Because I thought it was going to be, like, my new SJM love and series that brought me back to ACOTAR. The first one kind of did. But then it made me sad. After that, I mean, I like a good spice book. I do, but this was too much. It was not good. I don't recommend. That Court of Empire thing put me in a huge book rut. I didn't read for like 3 weeks because I didn't like it. And I couldn't get myself to read this because it's so big. It's like 800 or some pages. 801. It made me realize why I love Sarah J. Maas so much. It really did. Because this ending of this book could not have been more perfect. Like, if you've read this, like, obviously there's some shit that, like, made me so sad. And I was like, no, this can't be happening. But then, like, the end, I was like, no way. Like, this can't be real. She has made a universe that I'm obsessed with. And that was the last book I read. I just finished it yesterday. The third one came out today. And I just went and bought it. So now I'm going to talk about my physical TBR. This book is Encyclopedia of Fairies. It says book 1 of Emily Wilde's series. Like, I'm a sucker for marketing. A sucker. Because this is beautiful. And I can picture myself at my grandma's cabin reading this book. At, like, the beach or a lawn chair and just, like, having a beautiful time. So I won't be reading this for a while. Like, the summertime. And then I got this. Like, why not? Then my friend Maddie told me that Emily Henry was her favorite romance writer. And I just wanted, like, a nice romance book. And apparently this is one of the best sellers in 2023. And it's pretty. Of course it caught my eye. It's pink. It's a good summer book. Hannah Grace came out with another one called Wildfire, and I know it's gonna be as good as Icebreaker. This is also like a summer book. This book I have been looking for a month, and every single bookstore I've gone to, it has been sold out. And I like the shopping for book experience, so I refused to buy it on Amazon. Like, I found it on Amazon for like $15, but I was like, no. I want to buy it in store. I'm going to wait until it's back in stock. And every single time I went to the bookstore, it wasn't in stock because people just kept on buying it. And I went today to get A House of Flame and Shadow because it came out today. And I was like, I might as well look. Like, I might as well try and find it. The last one in the store. Yes, I got it. Very excited. And then the star of the show. I have no words. Like, I am so excited to read this book. Okay, so I don't know if I'm gonna read this one. Yeah, if you watched the beginning, if you've made it this far, I don't know if I want to read this one yet because I need to find out if Throne of Glass is important to read before this one. So this might be my next read. I'm feeling this one a lot. So it might be one of these. It might be one of these next. We'll have to see. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day.